What's up, everybody? I'm Danny with the Neighbor's Kitchen, and check out my Traeger Ranger. This is actually going to be my third summer camping with this bad guy, and I want to share it with you. So I've used this plenty. I'm going to share with you some of my experiences with it, the things I love, the things I don't love, and who this grill slash smoker might just be for, to see if it's going to work for you. I'm going to bring you along with a full meal while I cook, and just kind of show you the ins and outs. I thank you so much for being here. Let's check this thing out. All right, so first off, check this thing out. So after not 3 years, it's been a little over 3 years of travel. You can see here, we're a little battle worn. This isn't rust. This is actually stained in plastic. Somebody set something here while it was still hot. Might have been me. We're a little bit, we got some whoopties from travel. I keep it just like this. I do have a fifth wheel, and it just gets stored in the belly compartment. No issues. I will tell you, my brother has the same unit. They don't have a camper. He takes it to the track on track days, and he has the nylon carrying case. He highly recommends that for people who put it in the back of a truck or a Jeep or something like that. I'll link that in the description below after he sends it to me. But yeah, this is our unit here. You can see we got a little bit of smoke residue on this clip. These clips here are for traveling. You do not need to hold them closed whilst cooking. These are our intake fins. We have smoke ports. For all intents and purposes, this is your chimney, and these are probably, I don't know, I'm sure there's science going on there. Here's our grease exit. You can see, you can tell it's been used. It's actually been used a lot. I use my Traeger Ranger a lot, but it's held up very well, even for as how much I use it. Now let's pop these open here. This is how I travel with it. Keep my grease catcher. I keep a putty knife in there. You will see why here momentarily. I keep my probe. This unit comes with one probe built in. It comes with a griddle. This is not an upgrade. This is included, and when you travel with it, you keep this on top, and you keep your grate below your griddle so that you don't scratch the top of it. You don't want to get to your destination if you're camping or traveling and have to re-season your top, so that is why you go in the order there. Tonight, as I cook my meal, we're not going to use this. I will tell you, it's held up very well. However, I will share with you my first complaint about this is there is no way to fine-tune your leveling system with this entire unit. Not as important with the grate as it is the griddle, obviously. The feet are stationary, so when I go camping, I either have to, and you know, I'm a big state park guy. Sometimes your picnic table is all bowed and ooh. I'll actually put my yellow leveling blocks under the feet of the Ranger if need be. I got very fortunate at this site, and I was able to actually level the picnic table really well. The top of the picnic table was nice and level, but I have this complaint about everything. Even my Weber Traveler I have to level. And you'll notice I'm actually at the back of my camper this time. This site here in particular, there's just no way we're putting a kitchen setup under my awning. So we're over here this time, and there's nothing wrong with that. So you'll see here at first glance, here's our cooking area. This is our pellet hopper. So looks are a little deceiving. From the outside, you're like, wow, look at all this room for activities. And then you open it, and roughly a third of everything in here is just pellet hopper. So if they could somehow in a future model find a way to make this store inside and be detachable and put it outside so that you could have all of this for cooking service, that would be awesome. This is 184 inches of cooking surface compared to like a Weber Traveler, which is the other thing I travel with. This is 320 square inches. Not a deal breaker. I'll tell you why later. So here we go. This is our temperature probe. Like I told you, the hood with all the vents and everything. We have that set to the side. We go ahead. There's our, I believe this is ceramic coated grill grate. Here's our heat diverter. This just slides out like so. And here we go. Here's the internals. You'll see that it has, for some ironic reason, it looks to be the same size fire pot as my Pro 34 at home. We have our igniter down there, or our element, excuse me. Got some pellets poking through. Through all of the travel, as this gets jostled down the highway and the country roads and the quick stops, because whatever, I have never had an issue with pellets separating too much that there becomes a gap. Pretty much once you go through the initial prime process when you buy this first off, I've never had to reprime it, so that's been really good. I told you about my putty knife that I keep in this thing. I do not keep with me in the camper a shop vac of any sort. And so what I do is I just kind of use my putty knife kind of like a snow shovel, and we just scrape everything to one corner, and then I shovel it up and discard that to the side. Let me take care of that real quick. It's hard to do with two cameras. All right, so there we go. We're cleaned out enough to begin cooking, and it's been, like I said, I've used the heck out of this thing. I use this pretty much every time I go out, especially when I am with friends and family. I'll always find something to smoke that'll feed a lot of people. So let's keep going. Let's get this thing set up and we'll go through the firing process. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our heat diverter, that's this guy here, and we're gonna slide that guy in. And what I like to do is line this with some tin foil that will expand the life of it. And on Sunday morning when you're trying to get out of your campsite, you can just toss it in the trash and not worry about it. They do make Traeger liners that are this size exactly. They're a little expensive if you're only going to use it once. And I say that using the ones at home, I will get multiple cooks out of one for my Pro 34. In this case, we're just going to rock some tin foil. So let me get that going. Okay, there's that. I do not like to go over the sides. It's just in here loose, as you can see, because we just have this fine gap all the way around that our smoke's going to come through. Heat's not a problem. This is a method of indirect heating because of this, but to get that smoke flavor, we do not want to obstruct this gap. Plus that's going to affect your temperature. We don't want that. So now, I want to show you one thing real quick. We're not using the griddle tonight, like I said, but you can see right here, there is an index hole in the chassis. If you are using your griddle for breakfast, you can see here is the grease tray, the grease hole. It has the opposite of the index right there. So that just gets lined up with that. And that's just so when you wake up in the morning and you haven't had your coffee, you can't put that in backwards and have a grease pile up on the wrong side. So that's good. Our grill grate, as you can see, is rounded on one side and edged on the other. So it goes in one way. Can't screw it up. So we got that in. Liner. Let's go ahead. Here's our pellet hopper. It's a nice size hopper. So this grill works very well as a smoker and a grill. It gets as hot as they say, guys, I promise you. I think probably the longest cook I've done on this is I think it was about 8 hours. I did 2 chuck roasts, the biggest ones I could find that would fit on here. Cooked for about, it was a large group, and we did not use a whole hopper. I do recommend, if you're traveling in an RV, to get one of these Traeger brand hopper holders, whatever. They have a rubber gasket in here that is foolproof, so you never show up on site worrying about your pellets being ruined. Camping, I always use Traeger Pro Blend. It's a nice mix of hardwoods that just bring the all-around flavor that I like. Never had any issues with it. So we're full enough there for dinner tonight. Let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and close the lid. All right, now we're gonna go to the back and get this guy installed. So this hangs on these 2 little ears right there, and it just sits right there. I do highly recommend purchasing the Traeger tinfoil liners for those things. I've tried using aluminum foil in the past, and no matter what I do, when you're trying to get it inserted into there, it either tears, or when you fold it over trying to be all fancy, one of the folds is always at the bottom and you may as well not have used it anyway. My Home Depot was out of stock of those, and Amazon couldn't get it there before the time that I was trying to leave. So for all intents and purposes, just imagine that I had a liner in there, and I'll have to accept on Sunday when I leave that I took a shortcut, but I justified it. So now let me introduce you to your control panel on the Traeger Ranger. First step of the ignition process is actually in the back. You want to make sure that you have it plugged in, and then you're going to go ahead and flip your power switch on. And if we swing back up here to the front of the unit, this will be your indication that you have power and you're in standby mode. This will eventually go off, in which case you can hit any of the buttons to wake it up. Make sure that we are clear inside. We are. So this ignites a little bit different than other Traegers. We're going to keep the lid closed, just like much of the other series. And before we get there, let me just show you what these buttons do. So this button here is the keep warm button. If you finish cooking, hit that, and this just goes to 165 degrees is where it tries to maintain to. You have your up and your down button, not just for temperature. You can also set a timer. That's pretty neat. Your center button here has multifunctions as well. It will wake the unit if it goes to sleep. This also shuts it down. This also selects your display between internal ambient temperature, internal meat temperature, and it's also how you trigger your shutdown cycle. This is the only button with words on it. Pretty obvious. That's your ignite button. And you have a port over here for your built-in thermometer probe. And this is actually accurate. I've had some issues with my Pro 34 at home. That's what led me down the path of getting into ThermoPro products in the first place. I've double checked this with my tools as well, and it's spot on. I'm gonna be cooking a baked potato for about an hour, hour and a half. I'm gonna throw on a steak, and then we're gonna do an asparagus wrap tonight. So I think I want about 375 degrees. So we're just gonna go ahead and hit the up button until we get to 375 on the dial. I'm going to hit ignite. And see, it's starting at 72, which it's actually 72 outside. So what this is doing is the fan is somewhere over here, and the other noise that you heard is the servo motor bringing the augers into the center. The hot pot where the element is going to light those, and then the auger will turn faster or slower based on the temperature. So let's just let this get heated up. This is unlike the other Traegers. We hit the dial straight to where we want to go first. There is no pre-ignition system where you get things ignited and then you set your temperature. That's likely because of the smaller size of it. That's my guess. So yeah, let's get this warmed up, and then we'll start cooking. We'll go through the whole process together. Thanks for hanging out. See you guys in a minute. All right, so we actually got to 375 degrees in 7 minutes and 6 seconds. So that's pretty quick. Probably because it's so small and it can just heat up faster than a larger device, but this is still going. You'll see we went over, so this is slowing down the feed into the pellet hopper, and our smoke is kind of dissipated. It's still wood fired and all that. So I am gonna go ahead and get my potato going. This is just perforated with a fork. It is soaked in water a little bit to clean it, oil, butter, salt, pepper, a squashed garlic clove on top. This will be wonderful. I'll go ahead and put that off to the side in the back. That way I don't have to disturb it when I bring in my steak and asparagus in about an hour. So when I purchased this, I had not started the channel yet. Otherwise, you'd be able to find an unboxing and first cook video, because I like those and so do you guys. This was real easy to assemble from the box. You know, a lot of my buddies and I joke around about how long did it take you to assemble your new grill? And we don't even measure in time anymore, but we measure in the amount of libations. That's how bad some of them are. Well, Traeger has this figured out. Yes, they do have a lot going for them for the fact that it is a smaller unit, but out of the box, everything was nicely contained in the cooking bay. Obviously nice and wrapped and all the appropriate packaging. I had to install the handle and the feet, and that was it. They require a 30-minute all the way high, which this goes up to 450 degrees, kind of burn-in process. It burns off any factory oils or shipping oils, or, you know, it sanitizes it and all that. Pretty easy. You fill up the pellet hopper. I believe you hold the up button and the ignite button simultaneously with the grate and the diverter out so that you can visually inspect the pellet hopper, and that runs the auger to prime it without putting the heat to the element that ignites everything. So then you ignite it, closed, and don't misquote me, this has obviously been a couple of years. Just follow the instructions and you'll be just fine. But I can confirm it was super easy. I believe my first cook was actually burgers on the griddle on my truck bed. I'll see if I can find a picture of that, because why not? So anyway, we're gonna go through this, let that get cooked. When I see you next, we'll be getting my steak on here, and I will show you the process for setting up the thermometer probe, the temperature probe, and we'll go from there. Yeah. All right, so it's been about hour 15, hour 20 minutes. Holding pretty steady. This always fluctuates a little bit depending on temperature. That auger just goes faster as it needs to go hotter, and stops when it goes above its target. That is normal. I have a ribeye steak and a asparagus bunch wrapped in bacon. We're gonna put on here. Potato, looking good. So let's go ahead and get this guy going. I keep it stored with a bread tie. The sensor is in the tip of this. So in order to get this to be accurate, you don't just want to lightly go in. You want to go through the side and get in the center so that you have an accurate reading. I'll do my best here. I want it right in the middle. So I like to put my finger right there so I know when to stop. Then nice and even. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead, put the asparagus over here next to the potato. I like to leave this area open here so that I can move my steak over to the hot side when we flip it. I'm gonna start over here, rotate this over here. There's a nice little indent right here to run your cable through. This gets plugged in right there. So you can see that's where our gasket is. Run through. This is ambient temperature. That's how we get to the timer. And again, P stands for probe. We're at 54 degrees. We hit it again, ambient temperature. I'm not going to set the timer, but if you want to, you can set your timer here. I'm going to leave it here at probe so that wherever I'm at, whether I'm hanging out at the fire or sitting behind you in my nice comfy chair, I know exactly when it's time to flip this steak. We're at 54 degrees, so about 95 degrees. I will flip it, take it off at 135, let it rest a while, and then, well, that's it. That's dinner. And we'll talk about who this unit is for. We'll go from there. Okay, we've reached 135 on the probe. Still at 383. Here's our meal. I like to just go ahead, and sometimes I can get away with not getting another tool. Doesn't look like this time is one of those times. Looks pretty good. Go ahead, see if I can feel, yep, good and soft. We'll bring that off. Getting gloomy, we're about to get rained on. We've had some weird weather recently, so I apologize if it's a little gloomy in the video. I'll do my best to fix that. I'm just gonna use my pocket knife and pull the probe out, nice and gently like so. There we go. Go ahead, close the lid for the shutdown cycle. To trigger the shutdown cycle, we're going for the center button again. We're gonna press and hold it until it flashes off. And I don't know if you could hear that or not, but the auger stopped, the fan stayed on, and it's gonna put us into a 5-minute timer. This stops the auger, but it keeps the fan on, and what this does is it lets all the pellets that are currently in the pot, it lets them finish burning so that there's nice clean ash, and this will give you a proper startup cycle the next time you go to use it. So do not hit that back switch until this is done. If you do that right now, it shuts off the fan, and your pellets aren't going to burn completely, and you're not going to have a great startup cycle the next time you go to use this. So that's that. You saw me cook a whole meal on it. Pretty good. I'm going to give this a little bit to cool down and rest before I eat it. So let's talk real quick before I sign off. Who is this for? What should you look for if you're looking to purchase one of these? So one of the things that I do love about this unit is it is a combo smoker and grill. It gets hot enough to grill, it gets hot enough to sear. The entire griddle on here has great heat retention. It's perfect, but it's small. So if you're looking to travel with this and there's just a couple of you, you can probably fit about 6 burgers at a time on there. And you can make it work if you cook in cycles. Nothing wrong with that. We all kind of make do with the products available to us. So it's a very, very small grill, but here's what it also is. This is a fantastic portable smoker. If we're talking just about burgers and dogs or a breakfast on the griddle, you're only cooking for a handful of people, if not less than a handful being 5, you know. But I've cooked for a lot of people in this thing, in addition with all the other stuff in the camper and the other stuff that I bring, by smoking small briskets, poor man's briskets. I've done pulled pork in here. A pork shoulder, a large pork shoulder will fit in here, feeding a ton of people. That works really well. Ribs, if it's just you and your girlfriend, that's about it, really. But what a fantastic thing to have if you're a traveler, if you want to smoke something on the tailgate. It's a wonderful option. I'm a huge fan of it. I enjoy every minute I've ever cooked with this thing. I've had no issues. According to the manual, there's only a handful of errors that you can have on here. There's LER, low error, and HER, high error. And then there's 2 other errors for the probes. I don't have those memorized because I won't lie to you. I normally use my temp spikes when I cook. I've had no issues with this. I've never had to reprime the auger, even through traveling on terrible, just not good condition roads. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll put a link to all my favorite stuff regarding this in the description below. If you don't mind helping me out, check out those links. And if you don't mind, pretty much my only complaint about this, other than the size of the grilling capacity, is it doesn't have an onboard leveling system. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, because actually in a video that I have coming up here very shortly, I have a design in my head. It's not on paper, but I'm going to build a solution that hopefully saves space in the camper to help get this guy nice and leveled no matter where I'm at or what surface I am using it on. I'm hoping to make it even safe to put on a plastic surface in case I have guests and I want my picnic table. So I got 18 seconds left on my shutdown cycle. So I'll just take that to say once again, thank you so much. Hit that like button, maybe consider subscribing, and hey, till next time, be well. Ooh, I can't wait to eat this.